Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. Hope everyone's having a great day. We are at Hump Day, and yesterday we were dark. I had the privilege and honor to walk the country club of Brookline yesterday, the US Open. I will just tell you right now, whoever wins this tournament will have earned it today. It's going to be interesting to see what the winning score is actually. The rough is high, some tough, narrow fairways to navigate, some long holes, 499 par fours uphill into the small fairway second shots, and got to see a lot of the big time players driving at a few holes and some chipping and some putting. We sent some good content to our producer Kiefer Bagwell, who will be blasting it throughout the week. But today we get to start the tournament with one of the best guys in the business, someone that I can call friend. We're going to bring him on from Florida, the one and only Mr. BDB at Beating the Book.
What's up, Jeff? How you doing?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Just got back from Hawaii a couple of days ago, so feeling pretty tan. Back in this Florida heat. Just looking forward to getting the Canadian Open off my mind. It was one of my worst tournaments for the first 3 rounds that I ever had. I just couldn't buy a win. But looking to have a good US Open this week. The pressure for majors, the pressure is always on, obviously, when you sell picks to do well for a major. So I'm just, hoping that, the research pays off. It's always kind of tough, when you're going into these courses where it's not like Pebble Beach, there's no real tournament history outside of like a US Amateur in 2013, which was match play. But this course really has no course history with the current players. So it's always kind of tough to really go crazy beforehand with bets. This will be one of those tournaments where we just, see how the first round plays, how guys play. Then we kind of attack from there. So just looking forward to being careful this weekend with bets and hopefully coming out on top.
I was privileged in '99 to be at Brookline for the Ryder Cup. Myself and my dad went to Monday, the practice round, and then we were at Thursday, the first round there. A lot has changed since '99 to what they're looking at today. Before we dive into the Open first round leaders, potential leans, yada, 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 I just want to throw this out there. The Live Tour. I saw DJ on 12. We watched them. There was probably a couple hundred people around the tee. Very mild, no booze, kind of, cheering them on. I know Lefty's going to be there. Patrick Reed, yada, yada, yada. One weekend, I've been following you. I've been following your timeline. I understand the money. I understand the aspects of, especially the younger players, making $250,000 for a year on the PGA Tour, and one guy made $2.5 million in 54 holes and 3 rounds of no cut golf. Just give me your thoughts of the Live after the first week, moving forward. This weekend, do you expect the gallery to maybe be booing and hissing the DJ or Phil or anything like that?
I don't really see them, taking many boos this week, to be honest, because golf fans in general are probably going to be more conservative, more conservative thinking people. And they, a lot of them people, they're not really going to have a problem with it. United States, I don't have a problem with the Live Tour at all, frankly, because, the United States has a relationship with Saudi Arabia, right? We depend on them for oil. We have all these relationships with them. I mean, look, in like 2 weeks, Joe Biden's going to Saudi Arabia to meet with the king. Personally, my parents lived in Saudi Arabia for 1 year when I was born. So my parents have lived over there. It's just obviously, with the King killing this guy a couple years ago, this Washington Post writer. Honestly, if that wouldn't have happened, this wouldn't even have been an issue. People they find these one things that they have problems with, then they take it out on everybody else. It's kind of weird how people like in the media, the press conference, they're asking Bill Mickelson about like, what does he think about the 9/11 families? He has nothing to do with that, right? This is 21 years ago. It's something totally different. They flip it into this thing. They act like it's the hijackers that are funding the Live Tour, right? When it's not. I mean, people may not like how the Saudi government gets their money, how they run their country, what their rules are and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I was telling somebody yesterday, United States is not like the moral police, right? United States does plenty of bad stuff on its own that doesn't involve other countries. Like I was telling somebody else, I mean, in Afghanistan, when we pulled out of there, we sent a bomb. I mean, we sent a Reaper drone into a car that had a family of 12, right? Killed 12 people. Then we denied it for like a week. We said they were terrorists, and then they weren't terrorists. So, I mean, we've done plenty of killing we've got blood on our hands as a country also. So for people to be the moral police when it comes to other countries, I think it's just being short-sighted. But as far as the Live Tour, it's a perfect spot for like rookies, like for say kids in college, right? That are finishing college. And it's a perfect spot for guys like DJ, like Phil, like Patrick Reed, who are out of their prime probably. And they're just making those paychecks now, right? They're going to go play on the Champions Tour like Phil has. They haven't won in a few years. It's a perfect place for them because they can get these huge paychecks, these huge guarantees. And these rookies that are just coming out of college, it's easy for them to go to it because they're going to these rookies got $6 million guaranteed to go there, plus like 400,000 per event, I think. So, I mean, these are guys that would have to play on the Corn Ferry Tour, struggle to even play week to week on the Corn Ferry Tour because they got to pay their caddy, they got to pay their expenses. A lot of the times, if they don't make the cut, they're not making any money at all. Maybe on the Corn Ferry Tour, they're making $5,000-$10,000 a week, right? If they don't finish in the money, how many weeks can they possibly play for without having to quit and get a real job, just like the rest of us? So it's perfect for those guys. They're going to get money now in this Live Tour that'll help them play golf for a decade. Whereas before, who knows what they would have done. Of course, the blue chip guys are going to stay on the PGA, like Rory, Justin Thomas right now. It's easy for them. It's easy for a guy like Rory to throw shade at like Live Tour when he has a $200 million equipment deal for 10 years, right? Where he's making $20 million a year on his equipment without even teeing it up. So it's easy for guys like that to throw shade at other golfers when they're making plenty of money. Like I thought it was pretty rich that Jim Nantz is like saying he was, he felt betrayed that these golfers had went to the Live Tour when Jim Nantz makes $10.5 million a year to announce golf and football. So it's easy for these guys that make all this money to say like what these guys shouldn't do. But when these rookies and these players like Henny Duplessis, the guy from South Africa, he had $130,000 in career winnings and he's 25 years old. He won $2.9 million last week on the Live. So now this guy, maybe he was thinking about quitting golf last year when he wasn't making any money. Now he can play golf for as long as he wants. So I think it'll help extend some careers, obviously, help them get like a payday, help these younger kids play golf longer. And at the end of the day, eventually the PGA is going to have to extend an olive branch. Eventually, I mean, they're going to lose in court. And they know that too, right? So they're going to have to let these guys play on tour. It wouldn't have been a big deal if they would have they didn't even have to mention the Live Tour. They could have just said guys can go play. There's 8 events in the season. Most events are scheduled when there's lesser PGA tournaments going on. So they could have just let these guys go play, just like these guys do on the DP Tour in Europe. Nobody would have even known. But the PGA made the big deal out of it. And what people don't remember is the PGA split from the PGA, PGA of America years ago over money. So PGA did the same exact thing because they wanted to make more money. And now they're basically they're shooing these golfers who are doing the same thing they did. So I just think it's kind of rich. It's kind of just like, it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Especially just the live tour. You know, it wasn't going to go well with like the cancel culture of like 2021s and stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that the crowd's going to boo these guys. Like, they're not going to boo Dustin Johnson. I mean, the guy, why would you boo Dustin Johnson? Like, what's Dustin Johnson ever done to get booed? Patrick Reed, yeah, he hears boos and stuff normally in PGA tournaments, so I don't think it would be anything new for him. But yeah, Phil Mickelson, there's no way they're gonna boo Phil. Like, he's one of the most beloved golfers, and still with the fans, he's one of the most beloved golfers. Still, they're not gonna boo him. Maybe Jay Monahan will boo him, but I don't really see the crowd booing Phil Mickelson at all.
All right, so we're going to get to the board here, and you know, I have pulled up in front of me, I have DraftKings, and you know, when I look at like a horse race, you look at horses that are in form. You know, our buddy Dubsy Anderson always talks about horses for courses, and you know, it's always nice to see certain golfers that you feel that you're getting some value from. You know, the 18, 19, 20, 25 to ones. I look at today's board and Rory McIlroy right now, plus 1,000. Justin Thomas, plus 1,100. John Rahm, who no one's talking about, plus 1,300. Scotty Scheffler, plus 1,400. And then the next one is at 2,000, Xander Schauffele. So those guys that I mentioned. Now, I mean, I'm a huge Rory fan. The guy is lathered up. He's in form. Same with JT. Can you find a reason to get into an outright pre-flop with any one of these guys? Or if you were going to go down that road, like you mentioned when we started the show, you're going to wait till round one. Maybe a couple of these guys have a bad first round. They're 5-6 back, and you can get a better piece there.
Yeah, certainly. Like, I wouldn't take a guy who's teeing off, you know, later in the afternoon. I would not take him, like a John Rahm. I wouldn't take them, you know, pre-flop. I would wait till the early folks went, and then you know, maybe, you know, John Rahm obviously is plus 1,300. If somebody else starts out hot, he's going to go to plus 15, plus 1,600 by the time he even tees off, right? So the guys who are starting out later in the day, I'm just going to wait to bet those outrights. But yeah, it's hard to take Rory, you know, 10 to 1 before the 20 even starts. And Justin Thomas, you know, especially when you know how Rory and JT play. Like, Rory and JT aren't guys who just come out and run away with it, you know, straight at the beginning. They're guys who are coming back. Like, you know, Rory might have a good first round, but then his second round, he might shoot 2 over, be 3 back, and then the third round he comes back, and then the fourth round he just tries to hold people off. Whereas JT, for example, I mean, JT, I think he was 150 to, what was he? He was like 150 to 1 on the 11th hole of his final round at the PGA Championship. So, or 250 to 1, I think, actually. Somebody had bet like $250. They won like 50. It was like crazy. But yeah, JT is the kind of guy who comes from behind and wins. So he's a guy I probably wouldn't bet pre-flop. Same with Rory. But if you want to get some, you know, better odds, like I don't think you're going to get Colin Morikawa better than 30 to 1 pre-flop or on round one, unless he just starts out totally behind. Yeah, but just, you know, going in such a large field, going with a guy 10 to 1 to win it all, I'm just not really interested in that pre-flop. That's why I'd rather play like the first round leader.
Before we get to the first round leader, you know, a lot more meat on the bone. You know, Will Zalatoris 25 to 1, Jordan Spieth 25, Sam Burns playing a lot better 28 to 1. You talked about Morikawa and at 3,000, Victor Hovland 35 to 1. Same with Tony Finau. I saw Tony on 12 yesterday as well. Joaquin Neiman 35 to 1, DJ 35 to 1. Saw Brooks yesterday on 12 at 4,000 to 1. A couple people in that 3, 4, 5,000 to 1 got your eyes on?
Yeah, I like a couple guys in that range. So pre-flop, pretty much, I'm going to play Zalatoris. I got Zalatoris 30 to 1 yesterday on DraftKings. I got Morikawa 30 to 1 also. But I like those two guys for first round leader also because they tee off early in the morning. And tomorrow morning, it's supposed to be low winds early, and the winds are supposed to pick up throughout the day. So I like one of the guys playing early in the morning. I heard the course is playing a little softer in the morning. So I'm going to take Morikawa plus 4,100 for first round leader on FanDuel. Then I'm taking Zalatoris plus 4,000 for first round leader on DraftKings because they both tee off in the morning. I think that's going to be key. I think the round leader will definitely come from a guy in the morning because as the day goes on with the winds, the greens are going to get drier. The course is going to dry out, play a lot harder. So I like somebody in the morning to be the first round leader. But yeah, for that 30 to 40 range for winning the tournament, I'm going to take those two guys outrights on those two. I'm also going to take Koepka to win it in the 40s because at the end of the day, Brooks Koepka, only 4 guys have beaten him in the last 4 U.S. Opens, right? He's got first, second, and fourth. Only 4 guys have beaten him at the last 4 U.S. Opens. So his track record is there. Plus, he just got married last week, so kind of like I feel like maybe like some of the pressure is off him. He's probably relieved to get married. He's got all that stuff behind him. Now he can finally concentrate on his golf game to get back to like that juggernaut powerhouse that he used to be. So I do like Koepka in the 40s also. How can you not with his pedigree? So especially at a course like this, it's easier for a guy like Koepka to stay close because we're not going to see some birdie fest, some 20 under winning it. Maybe the winner will be 8, 9, 10 under. And a lot of guys can stay within striking distance if it's in that range. Like we saw it last year at the US Open last year. Brooks was right there on the final day within striking range. He always just seems to be there on the final day of the US Open. So I like a guy like Brooks, Morikawa, Zalatoris in that range to possibly take it down.
If I was to go down with some bigger odds here, Justin Rose had a great final round last week. He's at 6,500. Yeah. Bryson's at 8,000. He's hurt. We know that. Seamus at 8,000. Davis Riley playing better, plus 8,000. As you go down for the big swings, they even got Patrick Reed plus 10,000. Webb Simpson 11,000. Kokrak 13,000. The list is endless. 156 golfers to be exact. Yeah. I call it pizza and beer money. I call it, the old $20 swing to make, 2, 3, 4, 5,000. Any flyers that you got your eyes on that you could throw out there that says,
yeah. Hey. Yeah. I mean, I could see, if we're just, I've seen people talking about Daniel Berger a lot. I could see, Cameron Young making some noise again at 50 to 1. Justin Rose, I'm not sure he can put together back-to-back, good tournaments. But if we go down in the 80 to 1 range, Keegan Bradley, 80 to 1, he's a local boy, Massachusetts. So I'm sure Keegan's played that course plenty of times. He's also playing very good golf right now. So I could see Keegan Bradley. Patrick Reed's been playing better also. Brian Harmon, he's been playing pretty well at U.S. Opens. I just watched, I think it was a 2017 U.S. Open the other day. I think Brian Harmon got second place in that. He's 130 to 1. Adam Scott at 130 to 1. He's also a golfer who can play well in these kind of like link style tough courses. Adam Scott's kind of a guy who's a grinder, so I could see Adam Scott possibly, finishing in top 20, something like that. But beyond that, I don't think you're really going to get a guy who is like in the 100, the big range that can win it. Look at Gary Woodland. I mean, he's a major winner, 150 to 1. I just don't really think you can go down the list that far and find a guy who's gonna, really be competitive. But I think you can look for guys who are grinders. Like Gary Woodland's a grinder. So maybe if you want to throw some pizza money on him at 150 to 1, there's certainly, worse bets out there to make. But I'm certainly not going to take a guy like Kokrak. Like usually Webb Simpson at 110 to 1 would be very appealing to a lot of people. But Webb is just, I feel like he's been injured for like over a year. And his driver is just so poor right now. And this is a place where you're going to have to be like, some of these fairways are going to have to be very accurate because so like Ted Scott yesterday posted a video on Instagram. I think it was the 11th hole, I believe. He was showing the difference of where you hit the fairway and like what happens to the ball. He literally rolled a ball out to the center of the fairway on this like hump, and it rolled down into the rough like right before the water. And then he said, now if you hit it like 5 yards further on the fairway, the center of the fairway, right? If you hit it right here, he rolled it down and it rolled right into the water. That's hitting center of the fairway. So these guys are going to have to know where to hit it. I think experience is going to pay off at this one. I just don't think I don't think somebody who's wild with their driver, like obviously like Bryson, I think you're going to have to be an accurate driver to win here. You're not going to have to be like a lot of people always say the US Open is like a bomber's paradise. We saw Bryson, just overpower the US Open a few years ago with his drive and win it. I don't think we're going to really see that this time because they really make you pay with the rough here. I saw some of your pictures yesterday. That rough, I mean, it almost looks like seagrass. It's up to your knees. They're going to have a tough time getting out of there, even finding the ball here. So I think, if you're looking for a guy, it's going to have to be an accurate driver. And I think you can cancel a lot of people out with, with their driving skills. I also saw that, the U.S. Open winner, I think the last 10 U.S. Open winners have a previous top 25 at a previous Open. And then 8 of the last 10 winners have had a top 10 in one of the previous 2 majors of the season. So that was a pretty interesting stat right there. But yeah, this is a course with a lot of bunkers. I mean, 82 bunkers on course. And they're mostly surrounding the greens. So you just want a guy who's an accurate driver, a good iron, who's good with its irons. I don't necessarily think putting, like, these are very small greens compared to most places. So I don't think putting will make or break a guy this week. I think if the guy just gets it up on the green with such small greens, he's going to have a pretty good shot right there. But this week, I think the most important factors are just driving and irons. And I think if the guy can just get up there, they can worry about the putting when they get to it. Because like I said, with all those bunkers, you don't want to land in one of those bunkers off the green. So I'm just looking for guys who are driving the ball nicely and guys who are playing well with their irons. So that works out for like a guy like Jon Rahm, who's having his worst putting year right now. But he's driving the ball better than ever. I mean, we're seeing Jon Rahm outdrive everybody pretty much on tour, outdriving Bryson, outdriving everybody. So I think Rahm, with his drive and his short game with his irons, I think this sets up well for Rahm, even if he's not putting well. So it's going to be an interesting tournament, and it's going to be a test. And I just, the U.S. Open, it's always kind of, people like that painful golf to watch. They like to watch these guys struggle because then they feel like, hey, these guys are struggling just like we would. When they don't realize, if we went out there and played this course, we'd probably finish 60 over. So people like to see guys struggle. I like to see guys around 15 under win it, stuff like that. I don't like to see bogey fest, but we might have a bogey fest this weekend. I think we'll probably see the winner around 7, 8 under if I had to guess. But it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a long one, and I'm just hoping the weather does not add to the pain for these guys with the course, because the course is already hard as it is. I'm just hoping the weather doesn't supplement the toughness of the course. And I hope we can get some some nice weather. Nobody wants to see winds and rains ruin a tournament. So hopefully the weather can assist us on having a fun week.
Before we wrap it up here, one of your specialties is some head-to-heads. I know throughout the tournament you will take head-to-head matches on a day-to-day basis. Any head-to-head full tournament catches your eye?
Yeah, I took I took one full tourney head-to-head right now, and people won't like it, but it's I took John Rahm minus 105 over Scotty Scheffler. Rahm being the defending champion, I think Rahm he knows what he needs to do going into here. Whereas Scotty's been the golfer of the year. And really nobody is looking to fade Scotty Scheffler. But I don't like what I've seen from Scotty the last 2 weekends where he's been playing golf, right? He blew up in the third round on the back nine at the Canadian Open. He blew up 4 straight bogeys. It just doesn't seem like it seems like maybe Scotty's getting a little tired. Maybe it's wearing off a little bit. Everybody goes on those hot runs, right? We saw Patrick Cantlay go on a run last year where he couldn't lose. He was winning everything. And this year, seemingly, he can't really win, right? So we all see golfers go on these 5, 6, 7 tournament runs where they're unstoppable, like Dustin Johnson during COVID. Nobody could beat him, right? Breaking the Masters record, and now he's struggling to make cuts. So some golfers just go on those streaks. I think everyone just thought Scotty would be like winning every tournament after that, after he won his 5th tournament of the year, which is totally unheard of. How many more can you expect him to win, right? So I like a guy like John Rahm. Anytime I can get John Rahm as an underdog, I'm going to take it. So John Rahm, he really wants to be the number 1 ranked player in the world again. I like what I'm seeing with him from his quotes this week and stuff. I think he coming off, there's only two guys who have defended their US Open championships, with Brooks Koepka being the last. I think John Rahm, he knows that. I think he wants to become the 3rd player who defends his US Open championship. So I'm taking John Rahm minus 105 over Scotty Scheffler for my tournament matchup.
We have a question from our buddy TJ. He wants to know your thoughts on Xander.
I think this is a good course for Xander. I expect him to be right there in the mix. But would I want to be holding a Xander ticket on the final day with him with a 1-shot lead? I'm not really sure, because we have seen Xander's obviously not one of the best closers at majors, especially. He kind of falters on the weekends, but this is a very good course for him. He's one of those guys who can just grind, and if he can get hot, he can go on like a birdie fest. I'd definitely put Xander up there as being able to compete for the championship. He's certainly capable of winning a championship, but I just don't like how his odds of 20-1. He's up there with all these champions pretty much already, but he just hasn't shown me that major championship pedigree where I really trust him. I think he could play well, finish top 10 for sure. Just winning it, I don't know if he can handle that pressure, because he's proven in the past that he can't. But I certainly won't be fading him, but I just think at 20-1, it's just not really there for me to really want to bet a guy who's never won a major at 20-1. So if he was maybe 28-1, maybe I'd take a dab right there. But being one of the more popular golfers, being as he has success every major, he has success, finishes top 10 pretty much every major. You're never going to get really good value on him to win, because everybody bets him, because his history in majors is so good. He just doesn't win them. So he's not a closer, but he knows how to finish top 10 in these things. So I could see he's taking the Xander top 10, top 20 for sure.
Yeah, and that's what TJ was asking. That was his second question about top 10, and then he goes better odds ? And you're right. There's certain golfers where the general public doesn't play every week these tournaments, but once there's a major, they flock to the windows, and then they auto bet the Xanders of the world. They auto bet back in the day. Tiger Woods was an auto bet. Now there's so many big names on the top of the board, so many young guns that it makes it a lot harder. I mean, there was times where, back a couple of years ago, Xander and Cantlay were in those 12, 13, 14 to ones. Now, when you see them at 20, 21, 22 to one, you start scratching your head. It's not like a baseball game or a football game where you see the odds and then you say, okay, Vegas knows something, quote unquote, or they're trying to make you lean somewhere. 156 golfers, B2B. Only one will be holding the trophy. Only one will be the winner. There'll be 155 losers.
Yeah, there will be. And forgot, like the guys you just brought up, Cantlay. That's another guy who could win. I mean, he can win this thing because Cantlay. He's not really at this kind of course with all that rough, with all that basically shrubs up to your knees, right? You're not gonna want a guy who's gonna take chances, right? Who's gonna spray the ball everywhere. Cantlay is pretty. He's a pretty he's a great player, but he's pretty vanilla. He's not taking chances, right? He's not really gonna try to overpower the course. He's gonna play with finesse, play with his irons, depend on having a hot putter to win these things. That's a guy who's capable of winning this thing. Cantlay also. Schauffele, like if he can be consistent and stuff, of course he can win. But for like Rory, if his drive is not consistent and he's not finding, fairways here, Rory kind of does that thing that like Bryson would do like a couple years ago, whereas he would just drive it into the rough and just overpower it out of the rough with his iron because his iron play was so good. But I'm not sure that here, if you hit it into the rough, you're going to be able to do that because you're going to be in some pretty deep stuff. So he'll have to try to stay in the first cut. Don't go beyond that because you might have to pay a premium to get back into the fairway. So I'm just going to probably look for safe golfers this week. And I know like Brooks Koepka is like, this is not a safe golfer, but if I can get Brooks Koepka at plus 400 for a top 10, when the worst he's finished in his last 4 US Opens is 4th place, I'm going to take that all day because we see at courses like this where guys have to grind it out, it's the experience that pays, right? This is why you see Rory win like Canadian Open experience, right? He's a defending champion there. He knows what to do. He knows where to hit it. Guys, they just have that ability to grind. And I think guys like Brooks Cantlay, Zalatoris, Rahm, they know how to grind and they know how to just set themselves up to just be there on the final day. Just get into the mix on that final day, maybe 1, 2, 3 shots out of contention, and just anything can happen. A lot of these guys just get to the 4th round within striking distance, and then it's anybody's game. So we've seen a bunch of comebacks this year, and I'm just looking forward to a lot of guys being in striking distance on Sunday because if the score is low, like 7 under, or say 6 under is leading into the final round, you're going to have probably 20 guys within 5 shots, right? So it's going to be right there for everyone to take. So I think we're going to see guys play a lot safer than usual, just so they can, you can't win the tournament in the first round, but you can lose the tournament in the first round, right? You could shoot 4, 5, 6 over and you're out of it. Whereas you shoot even par 1 over, you're still right there. So I'm looking for guys that won't play themselves out of it in the first round. Kind of like we saw Bryson do at the Memorial. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, and really just I can't wait to see who wins this. And I think it would be kind of funny if we saw like imagine if Phil Mickelson won this or Louis or DJ or even Patrick Reed. I mean, I think that would kind of put the pressure on the PGA to find a common ground with the LIV Tour like sooner than later. But yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend, and I think we'll see some of the LIV guys maybe take chances because they don't know how many more majors they're going to be allowed to play at. So it'll be a fun week, and like I said, I'm just hoping for some good weather. So as viewers, we don't have to deal with delays, stuff like that, because I just don't want this tournament to get muddied up, kind of like the Players Championship. Just looking for looking for a fun tournament,
Before we close here, tell everyone where to find you on social media. I have you at Beating the Bookie, where they can get your packages for the weekend and whatever else is going on. I know we're in the Stanley Cup final starts tonight. We got potentially one more NBA game, obviously baseball, soccer. You do it also. Close it out here. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Speaking of NHL, I tweeted out to take the Lightning plus 750 to win the Stanley Cup when they were down 0-2 to the Rangers. So that was I feel like I know this Lightning team like back of my hand, really, and I don't think there's any way they lose the Stanley Cup. So if you're going to bet NHL, take the Lightning to win. I don't think I'm going to even hedge my plus 750 bet, to be honest. But yeah, you can find all my stuff at beatingthebookie.com, just like you see on screen right here. Beating the Bookie with no G. We pretty much have every package available. We have a golf package for this weekend at $99, and you get 4 rounds of plays. You get email daily with our daily plays. So we pretty much do everything. And like you said, NHL, NBA is winding down. Doesn't look too good for your Celtics. But I'm just looking forward to kind of coming up to an off season, I guess. We're coming up to the off season where that gets fun because the MLB grind really starts, people's interest in MLB.
I think you froze up, brother. I think we lost Mr. B2B on the close there. He froze up. Ah, there he is. Let's bring him back for 1 second. Add to screen.
I think you froze.
All right, we're back. So you can get Rob at B2B, Beating the Bookie, an amazing friend that we were able to meet in at the Westgate and at the Cosmo during March Madness. Great guy, absolutely crushes it. Reach out to him, grab a weekend package of golf, talk to him about any sport. The guy does it all. And
we'll have a lot of free plays, so even if you don't buy anything, you can just jump on the free plays. There's plenty of free plays on TikTok, and I'll be posting a free play video actually later today that I did yesterday with the Stripe Show. So you'll have about 6, 7, 8 free plays to play. So make sure you watch those. So even if you're not buying a package, you can still join in on the fun.
There we go. So the one and only B2B at Beating the Book. Follow him there. Myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest. I can't thank Rob coming on for getting us ready for the Masters, excuse me. The US Open at Brookline right down the road. It's going to be a great weekend. And obviously, it would be a great Father's Day gift if one of us is holding up that trophy and cashing it.
And my birthday too.
On
Monday's
Sunday?
my birthday. Monday.
Okay, there you go. So we'll be piggybacking. We'll be piggybacking everything for you there on Sunday and Monday. So with that said, it is now 12:01. At 1 o'clock, we'll be back with Andrew McGinnis at McGinnis Picks and Wager Talk, talking CFL, talking NHL with Andrew. So everyone, thank you so much for following us. Tell a friend, follow us back, maybe retweet this thing a couple times, and let's cash some tickets. Let's have some fun, and we will see you soon.